Have you asked yourself any of these questions in the last 72 hours? What is my purpose? Is this the career I want to do for the rest of my life? How do I balance my personal aspiration with familial expectation? Why is balancing my friendships, career aspirations, family, relationships, and everything in between so incredibly difficult? If any of these questions resonate with you, welcome to the Quarter Life Crisis, friends, and to the very first installment of the Layered Experience. This is a space I have carved out for us to delve into this maddening, thrilling, and confusing time in adulthood. It's the space dedicated to the art of figuring it out. I plan on us peeling the many facets of young adulthood, one intriguing layer at a time. I'm Maxine Mchunguzi, and I'm inviting you on this journey of self-exploration with me. Care to join? I'm hoping we can all grow and share in this space together. And I also want you to know that you are not alone. According to a survey conducted by Gumtree, 86% of millennials have experienced this too. Furthermore, the American Psychological Association has found that adults in their 20s and 30s are more likely to experience higher stress than our older counterparts, largely due to career and economic concerns. And this can trigger the quarter life crisis. Before we fully dive in, because I have a personal anecdote or two, I thought it would be important for us to first define exactly what this quarter life crisis is, because it's nice to be able to put an actual name to a feeling. So according to the Collins Dictionary, it's a crisis experienced in one's 20s tied to anxiety about path and quality of one's life. Most people are going to tell you it happens between the ages of 25 and 30. However, how I like to think of it is it's kind of similar to puberty. So some of us can experience it a bit later or a bit earlier. I know that in my early 20s, the world just feels so vast and filled with opportunity. And then we inch towards our 30s and the weight of expectation just continues to grow and create pressure. The dreams we once had begin to feel distant, replaced with everyday life and routine. I'm not sure about you if your TL looks a bit different, but I also recently saw that TikTok of that one girl just talking about how she does her 9 to 5, she comes home, she cooks dinner, and she's just living in a rat race and is questioning, is this it? And despite the backlash she received, I kind of agree. It's overwhelming at the thought that this might be the rest of your life. So the real story behind the Layered Experience was my own quarter life crisis. I did all the right things. As theologian Nicki Minaj once said, I did the mother thing, I did the wife thing. Insert her audio right here. So I did not do the mother thing or the wife thing, but I did take off the student phase, grab the degree, entered the workforce, and was just confronted with many challenging questions, asking myself if I'm happy with the path I'm taking. Is this what I see myself doing for the rest of my life? Is this where my story plateaus? And you know what the most humbling part was? There was silence. The call was coming from inside the house and nobody was answering. And the wild thing I have found about the quarter life crisis, it's just this big aha moment, right? When you realize that life just does not come with any official manuscript. There's nowhere telling us what exactly is the right move. Who is to say what we're doing is going to have us end up in a win? And what is winning anyways? For my fellow overachievers, going to school was extremely safe. We thrived off of those gold stars and receiving an A, knowing that we are following the correct path and method. But out here in the real world, there is no grading scale to reassure any of us. And it's just this consistent questioning of, who am I even? What do I value? What am I passionate about? I remember being younger and I would watch shows like The Bachelor, and I would see these girls, women who are 23, 24, 25, even 26. And I would just be like, these are grown women and they have their whole life figured out. I just figured that when I reached that age, I would have it all in balance. I would live in a cool apartment, be making a few G's, have my close-knit circle, just a life without really fully in-depth thinking of the deeper meaning. When you fast forward into this reality of adulthood, you realize that it's a juggling act, and sometimes you are the audience and other times you are throwing all the balls in the air hoping that you can catch them all. When I initially got hit with my quarter-life crisis, I felt so alone. I was looking around and it just felt as if I was the only one hanging in the balance and everybody else seemed to have it all figured out. This feeling of loneliness is something I had never previously felt before. I've always been a person with a 5-10 year plan. And I was seeing my peers settling down, having kids, starting families, starting businesses, buying homes, establishing themselves in their careers. As the age-old saying goes, yes, comparison is the thief of all joy. But it was not because I wanted anything that somebody else had, but rather I was just craving this path that I could feel secure and fulfilled at the same time. And as I'm growing, I'm realizing that that is such a hard and daunting task. It's this consistent push and pull where you feel stuck, yet at a crossroads of opportunity. Do you follow your passion or the stable job? Do we settle down or continue exploring? These decisions are hard, and I would like to say it's okay if you feel torn. At times, you can even feel left behind, and then I have to ask myself, who is setting the timeline? How have I devised that I am behind in any kind of way? Who set up these expectations? Then I'm also consistently questioning decisions. How do I enjoy the present while preparing for the future? And it just becomes exhausting at the thought that I am constantly questioning my right now, and I still, by God's grace, have the rest of my life to figure out. Especially with this cost of living crisis, it just feels exhausting. And then you get these feelings of anxiety and you isolate, sometimes even feeling hopeless through it all. One thing you are going to learn about me as we all get to know each other is I am a talker. And so the more I chatted with my friends, acquaintances, and some very kind-hearted strangers, I began to realize I'm not alone. And I am so sorry if you're one of those people that I began this quarter-life crisis discussion in the most inopportune time. But it really just helped me realize that we're all wrestling with similar sorts of questions, which is kind of why we're all here. Just the other day, a few months ago, I was chatting with this lady and she was really just very tensed up about whether she should take a job in a different city or remain at home. And she kept on repeating to me, like, in 2 years, I'm turning 27. And she was feeling stress about lagging behind her peers, as if she's behind in life. And as far as I was concerned, I felt like she was pretty accomplished. But, it's always easier when you're outside looking in. Firstly, I totally understood where she was coming from, but the one truth I could tell her is whether she took her job in the other city or stayed at home, in 2 years, she's going to turn 27 regardless. The funny thing is with this quarter life crisis, or maybe just life in general, it is so easy to dish out the advice, but taking it, now that's the tea. So a quick introduction into who I am, especially for those meeting me for the first time. I am Maxine Mchunguzi, a proud third culture kid. I was born in Tanzania, but I was raised across South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria. I have taken those lessons and I'm currently in the rat race that is grad school. I'm attending NYU, studying a program in integrated marketing, which I'm loving. I've worked in digital media, dabbled in content creation, and I have occasionally experienced the highs and the lows of inconsistent projects, which I'm sure we'll dive into in some of the later episodes. I love meeting and connecting with people. I am extremely fascinated by the human experience. One of the things I can say is a true privilege of growing up experiencing many different cultures is that you gain the sense of adaptability. This unique upbringing has shaped my perspective in a lot of things, so I want to lay it out all on the table. I won't claim to have all the answers here on the layered experience. What you can expect is real, heartfelt discussions. We're gonna tear apart all those big life questions I threw out at the beginning. But here's the deal. We are going to go on this roller coaster of career shifts, self-discovery, the joys and the pains of friendships in adulthood, romantic entanglements, financial literacy, believe me, we all need it, mental and physical well-being, a sprinkle of pop culture, and so much more. And quick sidebar, has anybody watched the new Hunger Games? Because best believe I did, because I live off of nostalgia, and it's actually one of the few, you can't say it's a remake, but it's one of the few things I really have enjoyed. And not to increase your screen time, one thing you'll see about me is I love TikTok. I'm working on it. But have you been watching Temi Otedola's What If I Record Every Single Day of My Life Forever? If you're looking for something, a TikTok person to follow her. My mission here is for us to grow and reflect together. Got some wisdom or a wild tale? Send them my way. You can do that at The Led Experience on Instagram and TikTok, or if you head over to my website, which is theledexperience.com, send me messages, send me ideas. I am scouting for people to guest star and interview, so you are all welcome in this space. Here is a juicy bit. We shall be having a weekly segment called The Echo Chamber. Yes, I'm reclaiming the phrase. And this will be a weekly installment where I put out a question to you guys and we'll vibe off of each other's advice. The game is that we lift, learn, and grow together. Welcome to the Echo Chamber. Since this is our very first episode, the pieces of advice I'm offering are things that I have done and also done some research into. In future episodes, it will be what we as a community curate together. I just want to be clear that this is not a one-way street. I hope that this just becomes a platform for mutual learning, and every one of you has unique experiences and insights and wisdom to offer. Together we can navigate these uncertain waters. My very first piece of advice is admit and accept that you are in your quarter life crisis, friends. It is the blessing and the slight curse of your frontal lobing. Next, engaging in self-care practices. So the hard truth is self-care is not just bubble baths and pampering ourselves with chocolate, even though the girlies do love a chocolate bar too. Sometimes it means making choices that you don't want to in the moment, but will pay off in the long run. Stay with me now. Think about reducing screen time. I know. You receive that notification on a Sunday and your iPhone is saying, hello there. These are your weekly statistics on screen time. and compare the time you're spending on these productivity apps with your social apps. I know it feels like you're on TikTok for an hour. It turns out it's been 3. I know you've seen the TikTok that says, hey there, it's time for you to sleep. You've been scrolling too much. I know it's hard. I've been there. I'm still there. Even though it can be so engrossing to scroll on our social media feed or continue to binge through an amazing series. And if you have any recommendations, please send them my way. But we need that time to disconnect and rest. It's so important. I know a lot of the times we think disconnecting is screen time, but fundamentally, it's not really. And again, I'm also working on that too, so I'm not shaming anybody for struggling with that. The obvious stuff, pushing ourselves to exercise, and it can be simple. I love a good walk, getting my steps in, a cute little Pilates class. I don't know, why did I say cute? Because first of all, Pilates is humbling the girls. The girls are me. God invested in my body, in my mind. The body's a temple, whatever. I sometimes hate the frontal lobing, because these are the realizations you make. It doesn't only have to be physical. There is journaling. I love a gratefulness journal, and it can be as simple as, I am grateful that I am breathing oxygen. It can be that basic, or it can be as complex as, I'm grateful for the opportunities and the gifts that I have. But it helps. When you feel so down in the dumps, sometimes that is all you can hold on to, and it's worth it. Doing something creative, like I love a good coloring book. Better yet, a kid's coloring book. Because there is nothing that can show how artistic you are than out coloring them kids. Yes, I said it. My next little piece of advice that I struggle with consistently, celebrating small victories. We live in this world of instant gratification, where our success is often measured by the magnitude of our achievements. But it's truly the little moments, the small victories that pave the way for the larger ones. I'm guilty of this too, always rushing onto the next thing, hardly pausing to acknowledge what I have done, what I have achieved. And you just really end up in this crazy rat race and realize you'll never be satiated. So whether it's finishing a challenging project, mastering a new recipe, or simply getting out of bed on a tough day, these are all milestones worth celebrating. Picture it this way: every small win is a brick, and with these bricks, we build our dreams. Now, guys, okay, I don't like to rate things because I think everything is important in its own way. But building a support system, whether it's your friends, family, your faith, even counseling. We are inherently social beings. I do not care how strong, how independent you are. There are moments where you'll need a shoulder to lean on. Talking to your friends does not just have to be casual conversations. At least my friends and I are either cackling, talking pop culture, or getting into the deep intricacies of the meanings of life. And I think it's important for us to share our fears, our hopes, and aspirations. When I was feeling the most isolated in my journey, it was those closest to me that were able to offer me fresh perspective, realize I wasn't going through this alone, and were just the best support system. The power of the collective experience is immense. It validates our feelings and offers differing perspectives. Remember. I was going to say the 1st of September. No. Remember that it is not weakness to lean on those around us. And seeking professional help, there is no shame in it. I love that we live in a generation where people are more open and honest about going to therapy, and it's not something that people are looked down upon for doing. It offers us the tools to help us navigate our mind more clearly and effectively. No one would ever shame somebody else for getting a personal trainer that will correct their form and help them perform better in the gym. So why not therapy? I know I am getting off my soapbox very soon, but lastly, taking breaks. Sometimes the weight of our thoughts become too heavy and we ruminate and we lose touch of the present. There is a vast world outside of our routines, at myself, and sometimes all we need is a break to rediscover. It could be simply walking outside, traveling to a new place. I wish that's the girls are in the mood for a little trip. Or diving deep into a new hobby. I find that new perspectives offer new forms of inspiration and more forms of hope. And one of my personal favorites is reading a book. It isn't just about stories, but a journey into somebody else's world. And sometimes you need to get out of your own. Life does not come tied up in a neat bow. There will be days that our conviction wavers and our paths feel muddled. Stumbling and faltering is part of the journey. Remember that every fall teaches us something new. It's essential for us to embrace these imperfections, to understand that making mistakes is integral into finding our way. In as much as I've disliked this confusing period of time in my life, I can honestly say I am a better person for it. My capacity for empathy and compassion has grown beyond where it was before. It truly is so tough out there. I see the value of helping each other carry the load. Like, why make somebody's burden heavier for no absolute reason? We are nearing the end of our time together this week. But I wanted to introduce you to one last very quick segment, and it is what is for dinner. You might be like, what does this segment have to do with anything? Well, it is important because one thing about me, I am going to be plotting and prepping what I'm going to have for dinner from when I wake up. And one of the things I struggle with, this might be a quarter life crisis thing, this might just be an anybody thing, it's what am I going to eat for dinner that's going to hit the spot? It's going to be exactly what I am craving. And so I felt like this might be a good segment where we can suggest to each other some delicious quick meals. Like, please, suggest away, but I am not trying to make a meal that takes an hour and a half to make. I'm not that girl. I am not slaving in the kitchen. After a long day, absolutely not. So I prefer a good 30-minute, 1 hour meal, including prep time. So if you want to know what I have been loving for dinner, it is rosemary lamb chops. And let me tell you something about lamb chops, y'all, especially when you make them on a pot. From marinating them, because you don't even need to marinate them overnight, you're still gonna get them packed with flavor with my recipe. If you want the recipe, comment down below. And literally from when I put my little spices, put them on the pan, you just need to cook it on the pan for 3 minutes, 30 seconds on each side, and it is done. And it is perfect. And that is medium to well. But that's what I've been having for dinner. So please share what I've been having for dinners, and I'll be sharing so we all get ideas so that we can have delicious meals that are quick to cook, because that is important. Dinner is served. Committing to the spirit of consistency. Expect a fresh new episode every week. In this upcoming episode, we shall be talking about the intricate maze that is navigating adult friendships. My aim? Keep it real, raw, and as authentic as possible. I'm hoping that our shared experience can invoke some introspection or provide some clarity. I know the term quarter-life crisis often brings forth a sense of dread. But what if we looked at things a little differently? Amidst the confusion and self-doubt lies an opportunity to redefine ourselves, to set new goals, and find passions we never knew existed. It's a chance to reset, reevaluate, and realign. If you are as excited as I am about the layered experience, please stream it wherever you listen to your podcasts or YouTube, and I'll have the video version obviously on Spotify as well, and on our social media, which is at the layered experience on Instagram and TikTok. And I have put together my skills to create a website, and if you subscribe to the newsletter, I shall be sending some weekly insights on some studies and some readings that can kind of relate to what's going on, and I shall also be looking forward to any questions or submissions you may have. Feedback, suggestions, reviews, bring it on. Every thumbs up or comment truly means the world to me. As you may or may not know, I am the producer, audio engineer, videographer, creative director, makeup, hair, website designer, social media person. I'm putting this whole production together, which I'm proud to. So I'm also willing to hear any feedback or suggestions you may have for any ways I can improve this experience for all of us, because what is important to me is, as a community, we consistently connect, reflect, and grow. I'm really interested in learning from you guys and hearing your perspectives. I want to make sure that these episodes are really beneficial for us all. As C.S. Lewis once said, "Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes? But when we look back, everything is different." If you are still with me, a huge thank you. Your time is gold, and I'm honored you chose to share these moments with me. Until next time, keep unraveling, keep exploring, and embrace every layer of your unique journey. Goodbye.